So this person here is a person who lives in Oregon, in a place that still behaves like a sundown town. It's called Roseburg. Her friend is part of the Cow Creek Indian tribe here. So if you don't know much about Roseburg, let me give you a little bit of a breakdown. Roseburg was established by this white squatter named Aaron Rose. And ever since then, they've had a little bug in their ass about black people or anybody who ain't white who moves into town. That's why this town is fantastically white. That's also why you have a lot of incest. Yep. That's why it is, because lack of genetic diversity, eventually you're going to run into that problem. You have more registered offenders here than you have black people total. OK, you have more registered white offenders than you have black people total. And they still complain about black people somehow. I mean, I've hired so many people here, and I say only 2 out of the 16 that I've hired as farm hands, construction workers, handymen have not been on meth and white. So, but there's something else you should know about Roseburg. Roseburg, there's a split off. There's the Christian right wingers and there's the pagan right wingers. This is the part that you don't get to hear about. So let me explain. I hired a farmhand recently. He was a guy down on his freaking luck. I gave him a shot, gave him $20 an hour. I said, hey, you're not going to be doing a whole lot of work. I like to do a lot of things myself. So let me give you, a job. He told me some backstory. He's a white guy. I saw some of his tattoos. Very concerning, especially me being me. So, but I still gave him a chance because he probably never met a black person before being in this town. And I wanted his first experience with a black person to show him that we aren't these monsters. That's why he likes me. But he told me about the paganism here. You have some people who are Satanists here and some people who are pagans here who are hardcore racists. This is why when you go into certain parts of town, you start seeing names like Morningstar, churches named after Morningstar. Do you know who the Morningstar is? Go to your Google search bar, type in, what is the Morningstar to Lucifer? Type it in. Don't take my word for it. And let me ask you a question. Would you ever name your church that? Have you not know some of the occult symbology? Just all around town? I started seeing hammers of Thor. I started seeing people with Yata-Garasu or the World Tree tattoos. And I started seeing a lot of signs of this certain group called the Acid True Folk Assembly. So let me explain to you about them. It's a group that started in California. This is a hardcore white nationalist pagan order. They follow Norse mythology and old school European folklore, that kind of stuff. They started in California, but they moved over to Washington State, to Oregon, to Michigan, a lot of blue states. And they're here. They're like all over the place. So you got a little bit of a split off there. So, you're between like a rock and a hard place. This is why I live way on the outskirts of town. This is why I have a lot of firearms. And this is why I also have the disposition that if I catch you on my property, either my 4 German shepherds are going to rip you apart or I'm going to get you. And I pray that the dogs get to you first because they have mercy. Not me. But the last thing you got to know about Roseburg is it very much behaves like a sundown town. The only reason why these people haven't come from me is because they think that I'm out of my goddamn mind. Not really. But I'm glad that they think that. So to keep yourself safe, you have to make it very, very apparent that if something happens to me, it's going to be everybody's problem. And so that's why it's better just to leave me alone. When I first moved in here, I had notes left in my mailbox, go home, end work. Yeah. The local sheriff here, John Hanlon, Douglas County Sheriff John Hanlon, he joined a right-wing paramilitary group called the CSPOA. CSPOA. C as in Charlie, S as in Sierra, P as in Papa, O as in Oscar, A as in Alpha. Type in CSPOA ADL or CSP or CSPOA Southern Poverty Law Center. This group is also called the Constitutional Sheriffs. They don't like Barack Obama. They don't like MLK. Their CEO literally called MLK a thug. They hang out with right-wing paramilitary groups like the League of the South. League of the South. What do you think the League of the South is all about? And John Hanlon joined that. He also called Mr. Hanlon. He also called the victims of Sandy Hook and the families crisis actors. CNN caught him red-handed in 4K. His own son got busted for DUI, for freaking felony, DUI, and a hit and run. So he can't let you much about crime. So with that kind of sheriff and people still vote for the sheriff, what do you think some of the population is like? Not saying everybody, just some of them. Because mind you, John Hanlon comes from Roseburg. Just make sure you show your husband this. Make sure he understands. Oh, by the way, your friend from the Cow Creek Indian tribe, if they are not aware, one of the reasons why we got banned from Oregon, the Second Exclusion Act, that came because there was a fear that we as black people would intermingle with the natives and make them rise up against white people to get their land back. So tell your friend that we have no quarrel and that you're welcome anytime.